A South Dakota tribe seeks cannabis legalization, plus a possible game changer for the Canadian cannabis industry. Today is March 11th, and this is your TRICHOMES Morning Buzz.
Broadcasting live from the TRICHOMES.com studios in Southern California. It's time for your Morning Buzz. We bring you late-breaking news that keeps you up to date with what's happening in the cannabis industry.
A South Dakota tribe is set to vote on cannabis legalization. According to the Associated Press, members of the Oglala Sioux Tribe will vote this week on legalizing medical and recreational cannabis on South Dakota's Pine Ridge Reservation, in an initiative that many hope will bring economic development to one of the most impoverished areas in the country. Neither South Dakota nor nearby Wyoming and Nebraska have legalized cannabis, and tribal leaders think that pot could rake in millions of dollars. If the measure is approved, the Oglala Sioux Tribe would become the only Native American tribe to set up a cannabis market in a state where it's otherwise illegal. People will be coming from all directions to get their medicine, said Ricky Graygrass, a tribal leader. The Oglala Sioux Tribe is poised to test the federal and state policy, and tribal members will vote on whether to approve medical cannabis, recreational cannabis, and allowing alcohol at the tribe's casino. The tribe council is then supposed to implement any changes voters approve. Meanwhile, South Dakota's laws could also change, with the residents set to vote on whether to legalize medical and recreational cannabis in November. Next, California passes $1 billion in cannabis sales 2 years after their legal market launch. California has raised $1 billion in cannabis tax revenue since the industry kicked into gear January 2018, according to figures recently released by the state. The bulk of that over $1 billion in tax money, after covering regulatory costs, has been spent on programs such as child care for low-income families, cannabis research, public safety grants, and cleaning up public lands harmed by illegal grows. While industry insiders and advocates are celebrating those numbers, they're also raising a flag about stagnating revenues and ongoing layoffs. Those hurdles, many say, can be fixed if regulators make key changes, including a seemingly counterintuitive push to lower the state's cannabis tax rate. The problems, industry insiders say, remain largely the same as they were on day one. Most of California, 3/4 of all cities and counties in the state, still ban retail shops in their borders. Also, the federal government still says cannabis is an illegal drug on par with heroin. That means cannabis businesses can't use traditional banks, raise capital like other industries, or write off expenses on their federal taxes. Insiders agree that if these types of hurdles are overcome, it would be a win for the biggest legal market in the world. And finally, could this be a game changer for the Canadian cannabis industry? The cannabis industry in Canada had a weak year in 2019. It only took in 1.2 billion Canadian dollars, which was well short of the projected $4.3 billion. According to an article from the Motley Fool, in February, representatives from Canada's largest province, Ontario, said that it would go through a consultation process to review the possibility of legalizing not just lounges but also cannabis consumption in public places like outdoor festivals and concerts. Giving cannabis consumers places besides their homes to partake can help accelerate sales growth for the industry by adding a social component to the mix that could lead to more revenue, particularly at events. However, the province's Attorney General, Doug Downey, is still in the early stages of this process, telling BNN Bloomberg in an interview, "We want to hear what Ontarians have to say on lounges, cafes, that kind of thing. It's not really predetermined that we'll make any decisions at all, but we want to hear from the public." Downey did not concede that more stores are needed in the province, which has been a complaint of cannabis producer Aurora Cannabis in the past. Adding more locations and perhaps even lounges could help make the industry much stronger by giving consumers more places to buy and consume cannabis. The Motley Fool explains what this means for investors. For pot stocks to be good buys, companies must meet expectations and achieve strong sales numbers. Legal lounges could help make that possible, making cannabis companies much more appealing investments due to the heightened sales potential. But until that happens, there might still be too much risk and uncertainty to invest in Canadian cannabis companies. And that was today's Buzz. Tell the cannabis community what you think about these stories and more at trichomes.com/morningbuzz. And be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. My name is David Fortin. Have a good one.